Today we look at two behaviors, the recall or come command and the fetch command. The come command is probably the most important you can teach your dog. It can prevent your dog from being hit by a car, for example. Most people call their dog way too often and without any reward to give him when he comes. Some people even call their dog to correct them for what it did in the distance. That's wrong and makes your dog not want to come when called. Here, we are restraining Pedala while we call her name. This creates drive and desire to come. We then say come, and when she does, we click and move away from the dog to keep her interested and to deliver the reward. Moving away from the dog makes the dog chase you. Moving towards the dog makes the dog run away from you. So, always run away from the dog when calling him.
Okay, the first thing I would suggest would be to use a long line in this kind of training. Why? Because you want the dog to be there in the training area that you define. You do not want the dog to go wandering off away from you when you are doing this kind of training. Under some circumstances, you may also use the long line to make sure that the dog comes to you when you call her. Now, the training session that we prepared here for Pedala was this sort of game in which me and Fabio are maybe about 10 meters away from one another, maybe 12 meters, and one of us will restrain Pedala briefly, will not allow Pedala to go to the other person for a couple of seconds, and the other person will start to say Pedala's name or starting to move around a little bit. In other words, the other person is trying to become very, very interesting to the dog. And then when you see the dog with an expression of, come on, let me go to that person, I really want to go to that person, that's when the person calling the dog will say come. In other words, we are setting ourselves up for success. When we say come, we are pretty much sure that the dog will come to us. Another thing that I would like to bring your attention to is whenever Pedala comes to me, I try to make a kind of a little party with Pedala. I move around, I toss the food away from her. It's not just a blank click and food brief thing. It's a little bit more complex than that, so that the dog really likes the game. Notice here that as soon as Fabio starts to move, it creates drive, it creates this engagement in the dog. Finally, for purposes of this video and due to camera angles, we were not being able to move away from the dog a lot, only a couple of steps. However, when you do these sessions on your own, I strongly advise you and recommend you to, when you call the dog, try to move away from her. She will want to chase you. So have that in mind when you set up a training situation for this kind of training. Over there, I toss the food away again, creates more engagement.
The second video will show you a simple technique to teach the dog how to fetch a toy. Pedala has some retrieving desire, so I'll be just throwing the toy and encouraging her to bring it to me with my voice. When she gets close to me, I'll click, she drops the toy, and I will reward her. Isn't that right? I think that's right.
For Pedala specifically, giving a food reward when she brings me the toy actually works quite well. However, some dogs will go down in drive if you do this, and they will not want a food reward. So keep this in mind if you're planning on how to go about teaching fetch to your dog.
With some dogs with less retrieving desire, you may need to break the behavior into simpler component pieces to teach her step by step. Maybe you can teach her to give you the toy, then you can teach her to bring you the toy, and finally to chase the toy, get it, and bring it to you. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do so now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.